So I have here with me some beautiful rosemary, just plucked straight out of the garden. It's about a day old, and look, it's still so bright and vibrant. It's just gorgeous. And it's peak season for us in Australia during this time of year, which also happens to coincide with Anzac Day. It's a symbol of remembering those that sacrificed for the greater good. Now, I know a bunch of friends of mine who have rosemary bushes. They kind of grow really, really big. And what I wanted to do today was share a quick hack on how you can give some shelf life to this beautiful plant by actually dehydrating them. So to get started, we're going to get going with some water. So we've got here about a liter's worth of water. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a cup worth of apple cider vinegar. So this here is, 1 to 4, 1 part vinegar and 4 part water. Now, a lot of people don't like the smell of vinegar or apple cider vinegar even, but what I'll say to you is rosemary is has such a beautiful fragrance that you need not worry about it actually being overpowered by the vinegar. And the dilution is really gonna help with that as well. It's really important that we do put something in there to get rid of the debris that typically does collect on rosemary leaves. And that's really to make sure that we're washing all of that out before we dehydrate. Now, I'm just gonna go in here with pretty much all the leaves that I've got and just kind of let it sit in there for a couple minutes. All right, a few minutes has gone past, and you'll see as I pull out these leaves from the water, there's really not much debris there, but you can actually use that over and over again until it starts to turn color, and then you might want to give it a bit of a freshen up just to make sure that that water is as clean as possible when we're actually washing the fresh rosemary leaves. Now I'm just going to put them on here, this tray, and I'll just take them all out, and then in a second I'll show you. What I'm really going to do is just dab them and wipe them as much as I can so that I don't lengthen the dehydration process more than it needs to be, because ultimately the drier they are, the quicker they dehydrate. So I've just got here a little towel sitting underneath, sitting on top of a baking tray, and I'm just rolling them up as you can see, and I'm just gonna let them completely, as much as possible, just shake it around so all that water droplets kind of come off onto the towel, and opening it back up and just kind of doing it kind of like you would was it laundry, really, nothing else. And yeah, it's already really dry. As you can see, there's only very little water left there. I'm still gonna give it a bit of a whack just to get every single drop out as much as possible. I'm gonna show you in a second what I'm gonna put it on. Right, now that that's done, I have here a dehydrator tray. Now, let's talk about what you could use to dehydrate for a second. You could absolutely just go in with the traditional oven, because that's what most people have. I'm actually going into a dehydrator. Regardless of which you choose, you should probably be preheating it to 35 degrees Celsius, which is about, I think, 95 Fahrenheit. And what we want to do is make sure that we have that preheated before the rosemary leaves go in. And we just want to do this. We just want to basically scatter them on the tray. Now, what we want to make sure we do is we don't overcrowd the tray. If you don't have a tray like this with holes inside of it, you can just use a regular baking tray to make sure that you have as much as space as possible. So just creating the opportunity for the hot air to go in and around the leaves to make sure that they dehydrate properly. And we'll be putting it into the oven or the dehydrator for about 6 to 8 hours. I would say closer to 8 hours if it's going in the oven, and 6 hours if it's going into the dehydrator, because it's got the holes and it's going to aerate a lot quicker. Now, the only thing I'll add, if you're actually going to be doing it in an oven, is to use the fan forced oven, which is the convection oven, to make sure that you are actually getting that air moving in the oven rather than still heat, because that's not going to be good for the rosemary. We're not plucking the leaves off yet. I'll show you why in a second, once they've been dehydrated, how quick and easy it is to do. But right now, as it is, straight into the oven for 6 to 8 hours. And here we have our dehydrated rosemary. So I ended up putting it in the dehydrator for about 8 hours plus, and sometimes it needs longer depending on how well you wipe or pat down the rosemary before it goes into the dehydrator or oven. The way to tell whether or not your rosemary is ready to pull out from the oven or dehydrator is to pick one of these leaves out, just like so, and then just make sure that they snap like that. If they end up bending, that means they need to stay in there for longer because they haven't properly dehydrated all the way. Now, the fun part with dehydrated rosemary is it's really easy to pull apart into a bowl like this. So I'm just going to put these guys over here and just show you. All you really need to do is the same way you would fresh rosemary, just pull these guys out like that and continue to do so until all the sprigs are out and the twigs are removed. We don't want the twigs, we only want the sprigs. And we just kind of keep doing that with the rest of the rosemary until all of it is pulled away. And if you keep doing it with the rest of the rosemary, you'll end up with beautiful dried rosemary. It's not as strong as fresh rosemary, so you might want to double up on the amount that you use if you're making it with fresh rosemary. But basically, this stored up in a bottle like this will last up to a year. So you can put it away at room temperature and you don't have to worry about it at all. And because this is such brittle rosemary, you can pretty much either put it in a coffee grinder if you want it ground finely, or just go at it with a knife and you will have yourself some dried rosemary, almost like it were fresh all year around. So enjoy that.